The old game cartridge lay forgotten, gathering dust in Mrs. Henderson's attic. It was called Echoes of the Abyss, a name whispered with fear in the small town of Willow Creek. Legend had it that the game was cursed, a portal to a terrifying dimension that fed on players' deepest fears. Some said it drove people mad. Others claimed it made them disappear entirely. The attic was always filled with an unsettling chill, even on the hottest summer day. Cobwebs clung to the game cartridge like ghostly fingers, a silent warning to those who dared touch it. But legends are often dismissed as mere stories, especially by teenagers seeking a thrill. The storm raged outside, mirroring the turmoil brewing inside the old Victorian house. Four friends, Jake, Emily, Ben and Chloe, huddled in the attic, their eyes gleaming with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. They had heard the whispers, the warnings about echoes of the abyss. But tonight, curiosity outweighed fear.
Are you sure about this?
Her voice barely a whisper above the howling wind. Her fingers nervously twisted the silver ring on her thumb.
Don't be such a scaredy cat, Chloe. It's just a game.
He popped the cartridge into the old console, the screen flickering to life with an eerie green glow. The game's title card appeared, the letters dripping like blood onto the screen. A low, menacing laugh echoed from the speakers. At first, Echoes of the Abyss seemed harmless enough. The graphics were pixelated, almost charmingly retro. The friends laughed as they chose their avatars, each more outlandishly dressed than the last. They were explorers venturing into a dark, mysterious forest. But as the game progressed, the once whimsical forest grew menacing. The trees twisted into grotesque shapes, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. The cheerful background music morphed into a dissonant, unsettling score that set their teeth on edge. Then came the whispers. Faint at first, barely audible above the soundtrack, they seemed to seep from the very walls of the attic. They whispered the players' names, their deepest fears, their darkest secrets. Section 4 Vanishing Act. The game glitched. Emily's avatar, a fierce warrior queen, froze on the screen. Her pixelated form flickered, then vanished. They laughed, thinking it was a bug. But Emily didn't reappear. They called her name, their laughter dying in their throats as they realized she was gone. Not just in the game, but from the attic too. Panic started to set in. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. They spoke of things they couldn't possibly know, echoing the friends' deepest insecurities, their hidden shames. The game was no longer a game, it was a predator toying with its prey. They tried to turn off the console, but it wouldn't respond. The screen was locked on the image of a bottomless abyss, and a voice, cold and devoid of emotion, spoke from the speakers. The abyss demands a sacrifice. Section 5. Trapped in Terror. The attic, once a place of childish games and forgotten treasures, transformed into a prison of their own fear. The air grew thick with a palpable sense of dread. The shadows seemed to writhe and pulsate, taking on sinister shapes that danced at the edge of their vision. The storm outside raged on, mimicking the chaos that had descended upon the attic. Rain lashed against the windows, and the wind howled like a banshee, its mournful cries echoing their growing terror. Each flash of lightning illuminated their faces, pale and slick with sweat, their eyes wide with fear. They were trapped, caught in a nightmare of their own making. The game knew their fears, their secrets, and it used them against them, twisting their perceptions, turning their sanctuary into a torture chamber. Section 6, Fear's Embrace. The game intensified, pulling them deeper into its web of psychological horror. Ben, normally the jokester of the group, crumbled first. The game preyed on his fear of spiders, filling the screen with images of eight-legged creatures with glistening fangs and malevolent eyes. He screamed, a high-pitched, desperate sound that echoed through the attic before collapsing. Chloe, her face ashen, was next. The game knew her secret crush on Jake, and it twisted that into a cruel parody, showing her a distorted image of him, his face contorted in a mocking grin, his voice dripping with venomous words. She sobbed uncontrollably, her cries swallowed by the storm. Jake, his bravado gone, was the last one standing. He watched in horror as his friends succumbed to the game's insidious influence, their minds breaking under the relentless onslaught of their deepest fears. He was alone, facing the abyss. Section 7. Echoes in the silence. The storm subsided as quickly as it had begun, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. The game screen flickered and died, leaving Jake alone in the darkness with his shattered nerves and the chilling memory of his friend's descent into madness. He stumbled out of the attic, the image of their terrified faces seared into his mind. He never spoke of that night, but the experience left an indelible mark on him. The echoes of the abyss lingered, a constant reminder of the night his world tilted on its axis. He couldn't shake the feeling that a part of his friends remained trapped within the game, lost in a digital hellscape of their own fears. The cursed cartridge of Echoes of the Abyss vanished that night, lost somewhere in the chaos. But the legend lived on in Willow Creek, a chilling reminder that some games are best left unplayed, some doors better left unopened. For the abyss, once glimpsed, can never be unseen, and sometimes it claims more than just your fear. Sometimes it claims your sanity.